Hey guys, I'm the 50s Kid. This is a 1991 Toyota 4Runner, and the complaint on it is there's a vibration in third and fourth gear. I drove it, I confirmed the complaint. Immediately I'm thinking drive shaft, so let me take you underneath and I'll show you what I found. So this vehicle is four-wheel drive, so this is the transfer case right here, the back of the transfer case. This is the rear drive shaft going towards the rear of the car here, so the front of the car is that way. And I was just rotating the drive shaft here and looking along the universal joints here and here, and I can't see any play in those. And then I came to the back of that drive shaft. This is the rear differential. Gave that a wiggle, and there's your problem. You can see that the universal joint is totally loose inside there, so it needs to be replaced. I'm not going to film how to take this drive shaft off because it's just 4 bolts on both ends, and come on, that's really easy, so I'm just going to take it off, and then we're going to concentrate on fixing the U-joint. So I got the drive shaft out. As we can see, that's our bad end. This is the rear end where the rear differential was. However, on the front here, this one appears to be bad as well. It's all crusty and kind of crunchy, and it's hanging up right there. So that one unfortunately is bad. And earlier when I was moving it earlier, a little piece fell out. One of the little bearings, I think, came out. So that one needs to be replaced as well. And it's a good idea to put a little paint mark here just in case this the yoke comes out, because this whole assembly is balanced as a unit. So when you take this thing apart, I'm also going to put a paint mark straight across there. That way I know which way this is aligned, because if you get this off center like that, then it's or out of alignment, then that's going to throw off the balance, because again, this is balanced as a unit. But then again, you don't need to mark this end in relation to where it hooks onto the differential or the transmission, because those flanges have nothing to do with the balancing. It's just the internal unit as a unit. So problem is now that I only bought one ball joint because I thought it was only one that was bad. Stupid. So now I got to go get the other one. So I decided to do one of the joints first just to see what I was in store for, and I'm glad I did that off camera, because there are a couple of tricks to it. As you can see, this was the bad trunnion. The other ones were more or less fine. This is actually way more difficult to do than your typical standard U-joint, because you actually have to get the caps. You have to actually get the caps going this way. They have to be smashed out on either side if you want to actually get the trunnion out of the center. Normally on a U-joint, you're actually able to either press or smash the whole thing up this way, so that one of them's on the inside, and that way the other one will pop off the outside. And then once you have it off like that, you're able to just get that cap and the trunnion out from the center. But you cannot do that on this because it's so small. There's just no room. Basically, both of the caps have to come out the ends this way. And what makes that extra difficult to do, what you basically do is you support it on the trunnions, or you support the trunnion. I've been using my workbench here that sort of splits apart like a vise. So you have it supported on the trunnion, and then you can just smash it on this end right here, and that actually ends up using the trunnion to push the cap up and out. And so that's basically the method I used. However, the problem is that when you have the two side caps in like this and you try to press that up, the two side caps are so close together that they interfere, and they get caught up on this on the end of the ear right here. So what you actually have to do when you're getting all 4 of them, when you've got all 4 of them on, is you have to bang 2 of them out first. That way you have enough room here on the shoulder to actually press even further in. See how you have more room there when the cap is off, but when the cap is on, the cap ends up interfering a little bit. Once you're centered there, the lip of the cap can end up interfering. So I found that I actually had to bang the 2 outside caps out just a little bit in order to get enough room to get this up and push it off. Secondly, it was way easier. It was a little bit easier to get the caps off of this end first, because as you can see, it's got a straight edge on here, but this one has a curved edge. So when you're hitting the cap out, it was still sort of stuck in a little bit, kind of like that. And it was that much more difficult to get out. So I found that, you know, getting them out of this end first was just a little bit easier. So that is what I'm going to do when I do the other side. Anyway, I'm going to reinstall. There shouldn't be any problems with reinstalling. And then I will film the other one so you can see the whole process. So reinstallation was pretty painless, you know, just like a normal ball joint would be. On this particular one, the grease fitting, because this is an aftermarket, it's a Moog ball joint. And this one actually has the Zerk fitting on the side right here, right there. And I'm not gonna actually put that in right now because I don't want it to get, like, you know, messed up, because I'm gonna be flipping the drive shaft over several times when I do the other side. So I'll just put the Zerk fitting on at the end. But if you're using, you know, the OEM joint, make sure that you put the grease fitting on the inside, the drive shaft end, that way you can get at it. And then also, you want to make sure that you orient the grease fitting, no matter which one you're using. Make sure you put the grease fitting on the same side of the drive shaft on either end. That way, when you go to grease them, you don't have to spin the shaft around. And in fact, on that point, I probably should have put this particular grease fitting right here, because I forgot about this grease fitting. This grease fitting actually greases the inside of the shaft here, because this tailstock actually comes out. So yeah, I should have put this cap on that side, but not that big a deal. I think once, you know, it's rotated down, I'll still be able to get at that. But that's something to note. Make sure you put the grease fittings on this side, or make sure you put the grease fitting in this corner so that it's sticking up right here. So we're gonna do this ball joint. I'll show you the whole process. We have to get the little half moon locks out. What are they? They're circlips. So gotta start banging them out until you can get up on the lip. I didn't hit it far enough. So there we go. Now you can see that the half moon is like sticking up right there, and then you can just pry it out. Hopefully you can pry it out. Sometimes they're stubborn, which this one is being stubborn. Well, there, it's out. We want to get them all out. We'll just go ahead and get them all out first. Once again, not enough. So much crust on this one. You can't even see it. I think they're both put on from this end. There we go. So now I can get that pin off. And this one, which is almost off anyway. There, both off. So now I want to beat off these caps. I'm going to push these out first, because as you can see on the inside there, those caps are pressed in so far at either end that if I try to get this one off first, they run the risk of hitting the ear, as I said before. So I'm going to try to bang these caps off first. You notice this drive shaft is actually damaged right here, so it took some damaging during off-roading, but we're just going to kind of work with that, or work through it. So I want to support this thing. We're going to have to use the edge, and you know, I should be using a bench vise, a regular bench vise, but this is what I have. I'm actually chewing up my table here by doing this, but you know, whatever. And make sure to get good support here. See how it's popping up like that? Do the same thing for the other side. Probably busting my table a little bit here. Yep. But like I said, no choice. I will eventually get like a steel table and a proper bench vise. I'm just sort of using this thing until the very end, you know. Let's see, is that enough? It's like almost enough. See if I can support this thing a little more, make this smaller. Yeah, that should be enough. So now, basically do the same thing, only the problem is this big drive shaft needs to not be supported, and these ears do need to be supported. So I think the only way I can really do that is by using the other end of this table and supporting the drive shaft on my other table off to the side here. So let me reconfigure this. Okay, so hopefully this will work. I just want to get it supported here. Supported here as much as possible. But again, what we want to support are these ears right here. Hey, look at that. She came off nice and easy. And you notice we didn't bang this so far, or we didn't, by not banging this cap in order to push that off, we're now not going to have a problem trying to get this started again. Because that was the problem I had with the last one is I did it that first way. I used a punch to actually push the bottom through in order to push the top up and out. And what ended up happening is the bottom cap came up so far that it came out of this lower groove, and then it was really difficult to get it started in there straight. Extra difficult. So, you know, rather than run that risk, just doing it this way is much better. So now hopefully I can hit it through the other way. Same thing, which there's no reason we shouldn't be able to do that. Hang on, make sure that this is in the center, like that. Boom, off. Now you got that middle piece out. Now we want to support this guy with the trunnion just the same. And we're gonna whack on this edge, and hopefully I don't miss my hand. I'm thinking my hammer is a little too big because I keep catching the edge of this here. First of all, this can be closer. This can be closer. And because I'm right-handed, I might want to switch to the other side. Might be a little easier. Let me use a smaller hammer here. See, this keeps moving on me. Not sure I'm making any progress because I can't really hit it on very well. Again, because it's just, I'm hitting on the wrong side here. So let me switch it to the other side and we'll see what we can do. Okay, So hopefully, actually I think this should be like that. And my table's just getting destroyed. It really helped to have a real vise to do this. Let's give that something. I can't find my penetrating oil right now, which sucks. So it's got to be WD-40. Need some earphones on. It's getting loud. And it's getting slippery. Are we making any progress at all? Not really. Which is a little frustrating. See it coming. It's also, yeah, that top is coming up further and further. A little bit more and we can get it out. And this should be down far enough that I can take the trunnion out and then I can just knock the bottom pin out, or the bottom cap out. So the goal is just to get this top cap out first. Yeah, I really think a vise is, like a real vise is the best way to go. I would try to use this, but it's just hanging off the edge and I think I would just end up damaging things with it. But you can picture what you would be doing in a real vise. You know, a real vise obviously wouldn't be crumbling away like my wood table is here. Just a little more. We should basically be at the top there. Like there's no more room to go for the trunnion. So that's the difficult spot we're in. That's why I didn't do this one first. You can see how it's just curved on the top there and it's just a pain in the ass. And actually, I from what I remember now, I think I got it this way and then I just banged the bottom cap out like this because I'm able to get in there with like a, you know, a punch or a screwdriver or something. So I think that's what I'm going to do rather than try to destroy my table even more. And let's see, let's use a socket, which I believe I used last time. Screwdriver, let's try to use that. See if we can hit on the inside edge. That's all it took. So that should be good. And do we have enough? We don't have enough on this side, unfortunately, to get it up out of there. Oh, no, we do. Okay. Had it that way. We had enough room that way. So now you can just use a punch, and I have a big bolt that I've been using as a punch, but you can also, I was also using a socket as a punch too, a deep well socket. So, you know, that actually makes a good punch as well. Done. That's the hard part. That is the hardest part, is just getting the thing apart. Everything else is cake. So let me get set up for that. Damn it, and you know what I forgot to do, guys? I forgot to put a mark on this thing so that I knew the orientation. That's a big no-no, and I'm damn glad I was just filming that right now, so I'm gonna retrace my steps. I haven't touched this since I turned the camera off, so I'm just gonna look at the video at the end of the video and see which way this was when I took it off. I can see that I've got these marks on the bottom of it right here, so I'm gonna see what orientation that was in when I had it on the drive shaft here. So this is how it was. Thankfully this thing has a dent on the side of it, because I could see that the dent was up, and then I can see that this mark was like this when I was reviewing my video just now. So that's the orientation I want to have. So I'm going to put it like this and make some marks, which is what I should have done in the beginning. And I was saying to myself, make sure you make those marks, make sure you make those marks. And then of course I forgot. So don't be like me, make sure you make those marks, because if you put this backwards like this, it's going to throw off the balance. By the way, here's what this ball joint looked like. This end was all chowdered up, and then half of this end was also messed up as well. But these two ends were fine. So a little bit worse than the other side, but yeah, both of them bad. So when you bang this thing down and you hit the trunnion up on the ears right here, you actually could make a little dent in the metal right here. And you just want to sort of knock that down with a file, ideally, which I don't have a round file for some reason. So I'm using some sandpaper to just kind of get that burr off and make sure that it doesn't catch anything. So reinstallation is way easier than removal. Piece of cake, actually, as I think it usually is. So I'm going to put some extra grease inside these caps. That way I don't have to worry about the needles falling out. In case you didn't know, by the way, on the inside of these are those little needle bearings, and you know, if there's not enough grease in there, they could actually just fall away from the sides, and when you're banging this on, one of them could actually fold over and get trapped in between the cap and the trunnion. And that's bad. You got to take everything apart. So to just help you to prevent that, I mean, there's already grease in there as well. I'm just going to put some extra grease on the inside just to make sure. So just get a little swab of grease on my glove and just sort of roll it around in there. Just make sort of a little moat on the inside there. That way those things are not coming out. Yeah, and this one has a little hole on the outside of it. So I'll make sure to put this one on the proper side. So we'll just see whichever side that was. Looks like it was this side, the top side. So I'll start with that one. Okay, get our one with the hole. That's going to go in that way. You got to get the trunnion in there to help support it. Hold on, we should probably go this way. What happened? Oh, this came off. Bad, bad, bad. Careful. So anyway, let's get the trunnion in there first. Okay, that way it's going to go like that. So I'm just going to hold the trunnion up while I knock this down. Now that's probably not quite enough. However, it's so short that when you actually put this down on the table, the trunnion's not going to come out so far that the needle bearings are going to fall if I hit on this. So I can just, you know, just put this down like that and hit it down. I'm going to use a punch for this part and just punch that down just a little bit more. That way it's definitely clear. I can see the snap ring groove. I probably hit it just slightly too far, but it doesn't matter. The other side's going to knock it back the other way. Now I just need to find the baggie. It was still in the box. So we'll get our snap ring on there. like that. So now when I beat it down from the other side, the snap ring will prevent it from going any further than it needs to, and we'll be all good. So now we can just get our next cap in there. It'd probably be ideal to actually hold the trunnion up against it just to make sure those pins fall. Don't fall, I should say. Looks like we're good. So 2 snap rings in there. Now, you're not going to be able to move the joint at first because there's actually a lot of pressure against this bottom one. But when we're all done, we're just going to tap it here and tap it there on all 4 corners, and that's going to loosen it up. So it should be fine. So we'll do our next one. Make sure we get our marks aligned. Like so. This one is more difficult because, again, it's on an angle. So it's a little more difficult, and we actually want to support the drive shaft, get it up a little bit. So I've got a piece of wood here, which might be a little too tall because now this is not supported on the bottom there. So piece of wood was good for the other part of the drive shaft because it was skinnier, but now not so much. So we need to figure out something to hold it up just a little bit. I don't know if this is enough or not. This is probably perfect. Whatever that is, 1/4 inch piece of wood there. Actually, it could be up just a little further because I'd like to hold the drive shaft up into the cap as much as possible. So let me find something. Okay, as it turns out, a shorter piece of wood will work if I just put it up towards here. That way this is actually down on the table and the drive shaft is up, the pinion is up, or the trunnion is up inside the cap. Make sure that we're still down in. Yeah, we're still down in, but issues. Let's see, what are the issues? The issue is that this is moving. It's probably still up a little too high. So I'm just gonna hold it. See if I can do it that way. This did turn out to be the most difficult part, by the way. Just kind of holding everything together. We're basically getting nowhere. Ow. Dummy. Okay. Wonder what the best way is here. Let me think. This should be enough. This should be good. You know, it looks good. Whew, that's getting loud. Making extra sure none of the needles have fallen over. And I think, yeah, our basic issue is that now the wood is too thick. So I'm just gonna have to try to hold it up. Ouch. Okay, I think that should be on there enough that I can use a punch now. And I'm just being cautious here because I don't want the needles to fall over, which I think I'm down far enough such that that's not going to happen now. Okay, I think we're down enough that I can get a snap ring in there. Circlip, whatever. Yeah, we should be good. Yeah. Bang a little of our grease out. Don't worry, we're going to add more grease. Very cool. So yeah, again, the joint's real stiff now. So we just tap there, tap there. Now we're nice and loose, just the way we should be. So now we can get our grease fittings in, pop some extra grease in here, get this thing back on the car. We should be good. The reason I had the ATF fluid out, by the way, is you could use this to actually lube up the holes before you put the caps in. I did that on the first one, but I forgot to do it on this one. But as long as it's clean, not too many problems actually getting it in there. Okay, I put more grease in my grease gun here, which is always fun. Okay, I just want to see grease coming out of the little rubber boots. Okay. Grease in there. And I do want to re-grease this one because as I was working with it, some grease popped out. I had to remove the Zerk fitting to make sure that it wasn't damaged. I really hate grease guns. Why do they never work, Okay. Probably best to grease this middle one on the car. That way this is at the proper angle, because that grease is just popping it out further. So, I don't know, I may or may not have to actually take this grease fitting out because I might have pumped too much grease in here now. So there's one thing to watch out for. Grease this one when you're back on the car. Anyway, I'm gonna put this thing back on the car and we should be all good. I'll go take it for a test drive and make sure it's good. So I just got back from my test drive, no vibrations, it's all good now. There are a number of other videos on U-joints on YouTube, and none of them quite prepared me for what I had to do with this particular U-joint on this particular car. It's just so compact, and you just can't bang it or press it out using the normal method that you can with, like, you know, a Chevy or a Ford U-joint. This is just different. This is just way too compact. So hopefully the method I used in this video will be helpful to you. If you enjoyed it, please throw me a subscribe. And also click on the little bell icon if you want to get notifications when I release new videos, which I do every Sunday. I am the 50s Kid. Thanks a lot for watching.